Good morning. Good morning, traders. How are you all doing today? Karibuni sana. Glad you could all join us this fine Monday morning, 10th of February, start to the new week. So hope everyone is doing well and everyone had a great weekend as well. So for those who are new, my name is Mitch Kaniero and I'm a trader with Afriforex. I want to welcome you to another Afriforex daily analysis session. Now, during these sessions, we as the Afriforex team, we analyze the markets, we identify what trading opportunities we'll be looking at taking for the day, and we do share that information with you. So we do have the Afriforex team. They are here in the back office. So feel free to ask any questions on the chat box. The team will be there to respond to you, and I will try and address any of questions that are asked at the end of this session. So let's jump straight into it. So as usual, we'll start off with our watch list and see what changes there have been. So looking at here on Friday, this was our watch list on Friday, where our focus was looking for selling opportunities on the US dollar, the Canadian dollar, the British pound, and the Swiss franc. And we're looking to mix and match those pairs with the pairs on the buy side. So that was the yen, the euro, the Australian dollar, as well as the New Zealand dollar. Now, today, there have been a number of changes because remember, even on Friday, we did have the non-farm payroll. So the markets have moved quite a bit. So today, our focus is going to be looking for selling opportunities on the Swiss franc, the Japanese yen, as well as the euro. And our focus is going to be on these three pairs as we mix and match them with all the pairs on the buy side. So you can take note of this, but we will keep on coming back and forth towards this watch list. Now, in terms of fundamentals, there was some fundamentals early in the morning. We had some yen news as well as some Australian dollar fundamentals, which did change our bias on our watch list. But later on today, we don't necessarily have that much. So it might be a slow day, but we will wait to see what ends up happening. It is the Monday after the non-farm payroll. So most people are going to still take that information from the non-farm payroll and use that for today. So we'll wait and see what happens. And tomorrow, at least, we'll have a lot more fundamentals. So let's start off with the pairs that we were looking at on Friday that we're not going to be looking at today. Then we will focus on today's pairs. So we'll start off here with the Swiss franc against the Japanese yen. Now, this was a pair we did have on Friday, looking for selling opportunities. You can see the three areas that John had pointed out. Now, during the London session, you can see the price did look as if it was within this support and resistance area, but we did get the price breaching and holding to the upside. So at that point in time, there was no trading opportunity during the London session. We're hoping that if the price came down and held below, we could have looked for a sell. However, you can see the price did manage to continue going up close towards the main seller's area. And remember, we do take note of these market opening times. So in this situation, around 4:30, so around 4, the price had already come back. 4:30, when the non-farm payroll came in, you can see the movement to the downside. So it's similar situation to what we had illustrated here. And you can see the price did end up giving us a pullback, coming back towards that area. And if you do take note of the time, that was at 5:30. So there was a very nice trading opportunity there to take the price down lower. But unfortunately, today, the yen pairs have changed their fundamentals. So this is a pair that we're not going to be focusing on today. So moving on to the next pair we did have on Friday that we're not going to be looking at today, we did have the euro against the Swiss franc. Remember, on this pair, we were looking for buying opportunities, and you can see the three areas John had pointed out. During the London session, we did get the price actually breaching this area to the upside and holding above. In fact, this was during the Frankfurt market open. Remember, the timings are 10 o'clock, 11, 4, and 5:30. So we do take note of those times whenever we're looking at the charts. You can see at 10, we did get the price pushing to the upside. 11, the price actually started giving us a pullback. You can see the price came back within the support and resistance area, although this was around 3:30, just 30 minutes before the US market did open, before the price attempted to go to the upside. But you can see it was holding within this area. When the non-farm payroll came in, there was a lot of fundamentals, but at 5:30, after the New York Stock Exchange opened, we can see the euro weakness that did end up coming in. So even though we can see the price has even come back to the main buyers area and still gone up, this is a pair that could potentially end up giving us issues because we have seen a lot of weakness on the euro pairs. So this is the reason why this pair is off our watch list for today. Now, the next pair we did have was the Australian dollar against the US dollar. Now, this pair, our bias was to look for buying opportunities, but nothing much really happened. Hence the three areas that we had pointed out. Wanted to see how the market would react within this area. Seems like it came back within this small support and resistance area, like, some sort of small range bouncing between these levels. So no real trading opportunity because you can see the price was within this main seller's area during the time. So 11 o'clock during the London market open, we're within the seller's area. We got a small pullback. So at 4:30, there was a push to the downside. It did end up attempting to come down, which can see the price pull back within this seller's area. And at 5:30, can clearly see the way the market started really coming down. Remember, the US dollar fundamentals have switched. So even though the price did manage to come back towards the main support and resistance area we were looking at on Friday and is still attempting to go to the upside, this is a pair that could definitely give us issues today. And that's the reason why we're not going to be looking at it. So looking at the next pair we did have was the Australian dollar against Canadian dollar. Similar situation during the non-farm payroll, the Canadian dollar pairs did change their bias, but can clearly see we were looking for buying opportunities based on these three areas, and can clearly see that we do have here. Now, the price was within an area where the sellers during the London market open. We did get the price reaching to the upside. You can see the illustration that we had pointed out. We did end up getting a pullback showing that the price was holding above. And at around 4:30, the price did end up attempting to go to the upside. But you can see the non-farm payroll came back down. Some very aggressive sellers. It bounced off the buyers area. You can clearly see it confirmed that this level had been broken to the downside. So unfortunately for us, the Australian dollar against the Canadian dollar is not a pair that we're going to be looking at today. Now, the next pair we did have was the British pound against the Australian dollar. Now, in this pair, our bias was to look for selling opportunities. You can see the three areas as well as the illustration. During the London market open, the price was within this buyer's area. Remember, we did point out we wanted a pullback before we were able to look for the sells. You can see the pullback came in. Fortunately, could not get all the way to the main seller's area. But remember, I keep on pointing out, take note of the market opening times. You can see a similar situation around 4 or 4:30. Once the non-farm payroll did come in, you can clearly see there was a selling opportunity to come down, and it did manage to get back towards the buyer's area. Even though during the Asian session today, there was a huge gap, the market came back to that same seller's area and has still managed to come down. But remember, when pairs are both on the same side of our watch list, remember, let's say, for example, today we have the British pound against the Australian dollar. The GBP and the AUD are both on the buy side. So if both pairs are trying to go up, let's say, for example, so in this situation, if the GBP is trying to show strength, you can clearly see it's trying to push to the upside. But at the same time, if the Australian dollar is trying to show strength, it is pushing it to the downside. So what you'll most likely find is when they're both pushing, the markets are most likely to just start ranging between two levels. So that's the reason why pairs that are usually on the same side do not fall on our watch list. So hope that's clear as we move on to the next pair for review. So there are quite a number. So here we have the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. Similar situation, our bias was to look for buying opportunities based on these three areas. But the non-farm payroll did come in and change a few things. But you can clearly see during the Frankfurt market open, we did end up getting a small buying opportunity coming to the upside, although we wanted the price to come down a bit lower. Now, when the price was within the seller's area, you can clearly see we got a pullback. At 4:30, we were within this middle area right here, and you can see the huge candle that ended up coming in, definitely stopping a lot of people out. And this is the reason why we always mention buy with buyers and sell with sellers. If you just bought within a random area here, this spike could have easily stopped you out. But if you look for a buying opportunity there, you would have been safe. Similar situation. You can clearly see the price got all the way to the seller's AM and really came down. So it was quite a huge move during the non-farm payroll, but it seems the overall bias was to show some US dollar strength. And that's the reason why you can see this pair coming to the downside. So unfortunately, this is a pair that is off our watch list for today. Now, the next pair we did have was the New Zealand dollar against Canadian dollar. Similar situation during the non-farm payroll, the Canadian dollar did get a lot of strength. So during the London session, we wanted the price reaching, either coming to the downside or reaching and holding to the upside. But you can see during the Frankfurt market open, similar situation with the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. Price managed to get to the upside around midday. We were within this area. You can see in this situation, around 4 and 4:30, we were within an area where the sellers. So in this situation, there was no opportunity to look for a buying opportunity. And you can see the strength for the Canadian dollar really did come to the downside, gave us confirmation due to the fact that the price did manage to come down. And you can see on the pullback, the price confirmed that it held below that area. That's a confirmation that we know that that level has actually been broken. So that's the reason why we always point out, wait for a breach and a hold. So this is a perfect example of that. And you can see that does give you very nice trading opportunities. Don't start chasing because you see big red candles and you start entering a sell here or even just a sell here. You need to always wait for a pullback to come in before you're able to look for those selling opportunities. But unfortunately, this pair is off our watch list for today. Now, the next pair we did have, the one I'm going to be focusing on today, is the British pound against the New Zealand dollar. This pair of bias here was to look for selling opportunities, but it seems both the British pound and the New Zealand dollar were showing similar signs of strength because you can see as the price gave us a pullback. We were within the seller's area. nothing really much happened. It seems like the fighting was on both sides based on the fact that you can see the price has just ranged, just bouncing between these two levels. And remember, we did mention pairs are both on the same side or showing similar type of strength, let's say both on the buy side or both on the sell side, you will find the market doing something similar to this. So that's the reason why, unfortunately, today, this is a pair that is off our watch list. So that's it for the review pairs. So remember, if you want to send any setup based on things that we do share, feel free to send them in to us. We do have our contact details in the video description. So we'll start off here. Let's start off with today's pairs. So we'll start off with the Swiss franc pairs. We'll mix and match them with all the pairs on the buy side. Then we'll move on to the yen, then the euro, before we do have a look at the metals as well as the indices. So starting off with the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc. Now, this is a currency pair that we did have on Friday, looking for buying opportunities, and you can see the three areas that we had pointed out. Now, on Friday, we wanted to see whether or not we could end up getting a pullback within this particular area, but it seems that the price did continue grinding to the upside. You can clearly see at 4 and 5:30, we did end up attempting. Hardly any trading opportunity did end up happening on Friday because we were so close to the seller's area. But it seems today, during the Asian session, or at least the market didn't manage to gap all the way back down to this main buyer's area, and you can see the push to the upside. Now, one thing to take note of, the level will pretty much be the same today. Reason being that we have not actually gotten a breach of any of the levels that we have been focusing. Remember, I did point out that in order for us to get a proper breach of a level, we need the price to breach and hold. So you can see in this situation, the price was going up, coming down, not a hold to the upside. Similar situation, all these probes that did end up happening. But right now, let's see if we are getting the price coming to the upside and we can see the price comes back and it holds to the upside, we could end up definitely getting a nice buying opportunity. That would end up giving us confirmation that that level has been broken. So we'll see what ends up happening. Let's see if we can end up getting this pullback coming back in, seeing if the price holds above, then we should be able to look for a very nice buying opportunity there. But be aware, if the price comes back in and does not hold to the upside, but actually holds below, then chances are we could be in some sort of range bouncing between these two levels. So don't be surprised that the price can still come back within such an area before we do end up looking for our buying opportunities. But right now, take note of this upper level right here. If we do get the hold to the upside, definitely a buy could be on the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc. So moving on to the next Swiss franc pair, we do have the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc. Now, we have adjusted the level slightly because you can see the areas that we did have on Friday, the highlighted areas, but the levels have been adjusted today. But on Friday, nothing really much happened because you can clearly see the price just was bouncing between these areas. Nothing really much. We did get a small pullback. It did come back to seems towards this support and resistance area where it does seem the price seems to be holding to the upside. So overall, our bias here is going to be looking for buying opportunity. So we've adjusted the level. So our aggressive bias area is right here. We have a conservative area right here. So we can see these are the main buyers. And we do have our sellers area right here at the top. Now, one thing to take note of is the fact that the price has managed to end up going to the upside. You can see we got a pullback coming back to this area right here. And the price is attempting to go to the upside. Now, we have not necessarily gotten a breach of this particular area just yet. Remember, we need the price to break the upside and show us the price is holding above for us to look for those buys. Now, be aware, there's a possibility if the price does not hold above this area and you see it coming back in and holding below, there's a high probability that this price right here, where the blue support and resistance area, was not good enough. So you could easily find that the price maybe needs more of a discount, and you could find the price coming back towards the main buyers. At that point in time, all those people who had entered their buys within here definitely could be getting stopped out within such an area. So do watch out for an area like here. But once that happens, and most people are so focused on looking for the selling opportunity, we'll be definitely looking for the buy tickets to the upside. So let's wait and see what ends up happening here. We do get the price holding above, then definitely we will continue looking for buying opportunities. And one thing to take note of is the correlation. Remember, the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc might be holding to the upside. So if that one does, have a look at the New Zealand dollar against Swiss franc. If it does also hold above, then we should be comfortable looking for a buying opportunity there. So hope that's clear. So move on to the next US dollar, Swiss franc pair. Here we have the US dollar against the Swiss franc, brand new entry on our watch list. And you can see the activity of the non-farm payroll. And the bias here is definitely to look for buying opportunities. And you can see we are definitely going to the upside. So the fact that we're so close to the seller's area, it's not a good place to look for our buying opportunities. Let's wait to see if we can end up getting the price coming back within this support and resistance area for us to potentially look for a buying opportunity. Remember, in order for us to buy, we need sellers. So let's wait to see if the sellers can come in during the London session, then the buy happens during the US session, or it could end up happening vice versa. We'll wait to see what ends up happening on the US dollar against the Swiss franc. But remember, if the price decides just to continue going to the upside and we get the price coming back in and holding above, then we should be able to continue looking for buying opportunities as well on the US dollar against the Swiss franc. So wait to see what ends up happening. This one, definitely the buyers are on, but we need the sellers to come in for us to get a better price. Now, the next pair we do have for is, or at least a brand new entry on our watch list, is the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. You can definitely see the strength of the Canadian dollar during the non-farm payroll, where the price really did go up, and you can take note of the time. That was at 4:30. So the price really did move to the upside. Now, today we did get the price coming back down, looking as if it was breaching this area, but it does seem to be probing within this location. So overall, we'll definitely be looking for buying opportunities. If this is a probe, let's wait to see if we can get the price coming back in and holding to the upside. If we do end up seeing that, and it lines up with one of the market opening times, we should be able to find a very nice buying opportunity within the support and resistance area. So this one seems pretty interesting. We'll wait to see what ends up happening. If you do manage to grab your buying opportunity, yes, you could end up targeting all the way at the top, but do take note of certain problem areas. One thing we do, I think we did mention, was it last week or the week before, that market gaps do end up happening. So sometimes you'll find that the market, since you can see it, closed within here on Friday, but opened all the way down here on Monday morning. So what you might find is the price does need to come all the way, at least till that particular area. That's something that's called closing the gap, but you can be able to Google and find out more information about that. But we'll wait to see what ends up happening. So even if you do manage to grab your buy and you could get the price coming all the way to the top, just make sure you manage your trade within this support resistance area as well. So hope that is clear as we move on to the next and last Swiss franc pair that we do have. So similar situation, these are brand new entry on our watch list. And our bias here is going to be looking for buying opportunities. We have identified 3 areas of interest where the buyers should potentially work out from. So these are the 3 areas that we will be looking at. The fact that the price is so close within this seller's area right here at the top, that's not necessarily a good place for us to look for our buying opportunities. So one of 2 things can happen. Either the price needs to breach the upside, actually holds above. If the price does that, we could end up looking for a buying opportunity there. But there's a possibility, since we're so close towards the seller's area, the session is about to open, the Frankfurt market could end up finding the price actually giving us a pullback, coming back within this area before we're able to look for those buying opportunities. So just be careful on this. Don't be so focused on one direction only. Be aware that the market can do one or 2 things. Remember, it's all about probability. So if you're prepared for both scenarios, or different scenarios that could happen, you'll always be prepared and never get surprised on what's actually happening on the chart. So if it goes up, you have a game plan for that. If it comes down, you do have a game plan for that, and you know where you should be looking for your buying opportunities for. So I hope that's clear on all the Swiss franc pairs. As you can see, we've mixed the Swiss franc with all the pairs on the side, buy side, from the Australian dollar all the way to the British pound. So we're going to do the same thing with the Japanese yen pairs. So something about the Japanese yen pairs, they did work out quite well on Friday. Remember, on Friday, they were not on the sell side, they were on the buy side, meaning the yen being strong, the pairs were coming down. You can clearly see the way they did end up coming to the downside. But the fact that we had some yen news earlier in the morning today, we have switched our bias and we are expecting to look for that weakness, meaning we're expecting the prices to go to the upside. So here we have the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen, looking for buying opportunities. So don't be surprised into the fact that the price has been coming down, yes, but it does not necessarily go down forever. The fact that you can see the price came to the downside, it attempted to come down again, but you can clearly see the way the price has come to the upside. So right now, it'll be very interesting to see what ends up happening within this particular support and resistance area. We've just gotten the price breaching, does seem to be attempting to hold above, although not very comfortable with the way these sellers have come down aggressive. However, let's wait to see. We do see the price actually holding above, then we should be able to look for buying opportunities. But be aware that the price can still, especially if it comes to the downside and you see it holding below, then chances are we might need to still look for our buying opportunities all the way down within this buyer's area before we're able to look for those buying opportunities here on the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. But remember, the yen pairs are very much correlated. So you'll find that it's one of the best pairs for correlation. So when one thing is happening, or at least if something is happening on one pair, there's a high probability it will be happening on the other pair. So do take note of that. And you can be able to use that correlation to your advantage to look for trade entries. So here, moving on to the next yen pair, we have the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen. Brand new entry on our watch list. And here we will be looking for buying opportunities. You can clearly see the way the price came down on Friday quite aggressively to the downside, but the slowdown ended up happening. You can see this push that ended up coming to the upside. So overall, we'll definitely be looking for buying opportunities over here. We'll wait to see if we can end up getting this pullback coming back within this support and resistance area to look for potential buying opportunities. This could potentially be some two huge probes, especially when you end up going up to a higher time frame. You can see this is a low. Price has touched multiple times, and we haven't fully got a proper breach to the downside. So this is definitely a major support and resistance area. So wait to see what ends up happening here. Let's wait to see if we can get that pullback coming in. If not, and you find the price just running away to the upside, don't start chasing the market just yet. Wait for the price to actually give us a pullback. Show us it's holding above such an area for us to continue looking for buying opportunities on this pair, all the way potentially to the top area right there. So wait to see what ends up happening here, but definitely looking for buys. Right now, let's wait to see if we can potentially end up getting a pullback coming in. So moving on to the next pair we do have, here we have the US dollar against the Japanese yen. Now on Friday, we did have this pair, but let me take note. On Friday, you can clearly see today we have the US dollar and the yen on opposite sides. They were still on opposite sides as well on Friday, but on Friday, the US dollar was on the sell side and the Japanese yen was on the buy side, meaning on Friday, our bias on this pair was to look for selling opportunities. You can even see the illustrations that John had pointed out and the three areas that were highlighted. So overall, on Friday, looking for those selling opportunities did work out quite well. You can clearly see during the London market open, in the Frankfurt market open, the price gave us a pullback, came back within the seller's area, gave us a very nice probe, as you can see. When the price came to the upside, similar situation to John's illustration. Seems like he knew what was going to happen, but can clearly see when the price came down and was holding below. That was around 4, but at 4:30, you can clearly see the price did manage to come all the way to the downside. But if you did, and remember one thing we always point out, do not end up entering any trades when there's a news event, especially the non-farm payroll. You find such liquidity grabs, anyone who is selling or buying will end up losing money at that point in time because you can see the spikes that did end up happening. You did end up entering a sell there. Your stop loss would have probably been up here. It would have been stopped out from that. But you wait for the news event to come out. And once it's over, then that's the best time to actually look for a trading opportunity. But since the bias has changed today, you can see this support and resistance area is still holding. The price does seem to be going to the upside. And right now, price is back within an area where they're sellers. So we'll definitely be looking for buying opportunities on this pair. And you can clearly see due to the fact that the market is meant to give you lower lows and lower highs, especially when it's going down. You can see that's exactly what the market was doing, giving you one pullback, going to the downside, kept on making new lows. Now, once the price struggles to make any new lows, you can see we made a low here, we got a pullback. The seller attempted, but look at that aggression of the buyers coming in, showing us confirmation that the price is holding above, and even during the Asian session, we can see the price coming up. So this one looks pretty good for a buy. But you can see the area that we're at, it's not the best place. So we wait for either one of two things, either a breach to the upside. And remember, a breach is not the price just going up. We need the pullback to come in. Once it holds above, now that's confirmed to be a breach. Then we'll wait for a pullback to look for a buying opportunity, especially if it lines up with one of the market opening times. So there's a possibility the price can come back within this support and resistance area for us to look for those buying opportunities. Just be aware of that. But most of the time, you'll find that, especially when it's starting to turn, even though we're looking for a buying opportunity all the way down here, you might start finding that the support and resistance, or at least the lows, start getting high. You can see initially, the lows kept on getting lower and lower and lower each and every time. But you can see right now, we are getting the same lows, and potentially we could start getting higher and higher lows. So if that's the case, we still want to look for buying opportunities, but be aware that if that doesn't end up happening, Maybe it might not necessarily happen within that area. We do have a support and resistance area right here that could end up coming out. You can clearly see it's an area of support and resistance that the price has bounced off before. So even if the price does not necessarily get all the way to there, do watch out for such an area as well, as you could find the market taking off from such a level. So moving on, I hope that's clear as we move on to the next yen pair. Right here, we have the Canadian dollar against Japanese yen. Similar situation with the US dollar against Japanese yen, where on Friday, we did have this pair looking for selling opportunities. You can see the three areas that John had pointed out. Similar situation with the US dollar against the yen. The trade worked out quite well. We did get a nice probe within this particular area. Similar situation at 4:30. There was a huge liquidity grab within that particular area. However, if you did end up entering a trade after the news event did end up coming out, cancelled. There was a very nice selling opportunity. Should have made sure to manage your trade within this buyer's area. You can see a similar situation with the US dollar against the yen. The buyers have reacted quite aggressively. Even today, again, during the Asian session, it is a similar situation. So overall today, our buyers have switched. We will no longer be looking for sells. Here we'll be looking for buying opportunities, focusing similar situations on the same areas because these are major support and resistance areas, whether or not it's for a buy or for a sell. We'll wait to see if we can end up potentially getting a pullback, coming back within this area to look for a buying opportunity, or if we do get the price breaching this area to the upside. Remember, we need the price to hold above for us to confirm that that's a breach. We could end up looking for a very nice buying opportunity there. Do make sure you manage your trade within the next major support and resistance area. So this one is pretty clear cut. So remember, the yen pairs are pretty much correlated, especially with the fact that the US dollar against the yen and the Canadian dollar against the yen look pretty similar. Just watch out for that. You could end up getting both pullbacks. And if you see one actually starting to move, have a look at the other pairs, as you could find some nice correlation coming in. That could give you multiple trading opportunities, or can end up helping you filter out not to take a trade. You might find one yen pair moving. When you look at the other ones, they're not moving. Then you know it is not the yen that is actually moving that pair. It's probably the counter of that particular pair that you're looking at. So hope that is clear. As we move on to the next pair we do have, right here you have the British pound against the Japanese yen. The yen pairs really did work out pretty well on Friday. So you can see the three areas that John had pointed out, not necessarily the lines, but the highlighted areas. You can see on the Friday, the price was within this particular buyer's area. Needed either the price to give us a breach to the downside and a hold below for us to look for sells, or we needed a pullback. You can see the pullback is what actually ended up coming in. We came back towards the main seller's area right there. Got a very nice probe, similar situation to the illustration. Price came back in and was holding below. Similar situation around 4:30. This one seemed to have been much safer because it did not necessarily get all the way to the top, so not such a huge liquidity grab, but you can clearly see there was a nice trading opportunity at 4:30 or at 5:30. You can see we did get a pullback coming in, or you could have taken that trading opportunity then, or there was another opportunity here. You can clearly see both illustrations did work out. When the price did reach to the downside, don't start chasing sells there. You can see the pullback came in, the price held below, and there was a small selling opportunity. Now, today, since the biases have switched, we will be looking for buying opportunities. So our focus will be on three areas right here. So aggressive bias could happen within that particular area right here at the bottom. We have a major SNR area here where the market did react at during the New York Stock Exchange on Friday. We have the main sellers area right there. We'll wait to see what ends up happening. Similar situation with the other yen pairs. Let's wait for some correlation to come in. Could end up getting the price giving us a pullback within such an area, or we could end up easily getting the price beating this area to the upside. If we get the price holding above, we should be able to look for nice buying opportunities on the British pound against the Japanese yen. We'll wait to see what ends up happening, but remember, in this situation, it's always best to buy with buyers and sell with sellers. So that's it for the yen pairs. As you can see, we've mixed and matched the Swiss franc and the Japanese yen with all the pairs on the buy side. So right now, we're going to move on to the euro pairs and do the same thing. So right here, we'll start off with the euro against the Australian dollar. Since the euro is pretty weak, and at the same time, we did have some Australian dollar fundamentals today morning that did show some strength. And you can clearly see the way the price is coming down lower quite aggressively. So overall, our bias here is to look for selling opportunities. Right now, it does seem the price seems to be running away, but that's okay. Because remember, we do not chase the market. We wait for the market to come to us. So in such a situation, let's wait to see what ends up happening. If we do end up getting a proper breach and hold to the downside, then we definitely could be able to continue looking for selling opportunities. So there's easily a possibility all those people who are jumping in on sales right now, we could end up easily finding that the price comes back in, holds above, and we do end up getting the price coming back within this support and resistance area before we're able to look for those selling opportunities. But right now, we wait to see what ends up happening. In terms of the next problem area, seems to be quite far within these major levels right here. I think the next level should be within here or so. So wait to see what ends up happening within here. So right now, the price does break this area to the downside. Just take note that the price potentially could come back to around this price, 1.642. Wait to see what ends up happening. So those are the levels. But right now, for us, or at least for me personally, this is a bit too much. Remember, we need a pullback to come in. So right now, the fact that the price is at the lowest point, you don't want to sell at a low point. You want to sell at a high price. So wait to see what ends up happening on the euro against the Australian dollar. Now, moving on to the next pair, we do have the euro against the New Zealand dollar. Seems that the euro pairs are definitely showing some weakness because you can clearly see this is a brand new entry on our watch list. And it does seem similar to the euro against the Australian dollar, where the price does seem to be attempting to breach this area to the downside. So we wait to see, especially if it's coming down quite aggressive. That's good. We want to see the price coming back in, showing us evidence the price is holding above for us to look for selling opportunity. So what you might find is that the price starts moving to the downside right now. Remember, we have the market openings at 10 and 11. So the Frankfurt market open at 10, the London market open at 11. So you could find that the Frankfurt market opens, the price is all the way down there. We start getting a pullback for that 1 hour. And at 11 o'clock during the London market open, the price could be within such an area. That also does end up happening sometimes. And if you do see that, that does give you extra confidence for your trade to be able to take it to the downside. So wait to see what ends up happening. Definitely, you can see the euro against the Australian dollar going down, the euro against the New Zealand dollar going down. Let's have a look at the euro against the US dollar. So the fact that this one isn't going down the same way as the other ones, it probably has something to do with the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar. Remember, both those pairs are correlated and we are still in the Asian session. So that's when these currencies are mostly active. So let's move on to the next pair. Here we have the euro against the US dollar. Now, on Friday, we did have this pair, but we were looking for buying opportunities. You can see the three areas that John had pointed out. Now, during the London market open and the Frankfurt market open, the price was within a buyer's area. We did get the price attempting to go to the upside. But I know John had pointed out this blue level right here. This is a level that John had pointed out on Friday where there were sellers that you did need to watch out for. And you can see the price just kept on holding within that particular area. We got another pullback at 4 o'clock or during the New York Stock Exchange, during the non-farm payroll. We did end up getting a small attempt to the buy, but remember the non-farm payroll did change the bias for the US dollar. You can see that huge spike. Then later on, we did end up seeing that US dollar strength really coming to the downside. Similar situation with that euro. So today, we have adjusted the level. So our bias here is going to be looking for selling opportunities. So we've identified these three major areas that we do have here. So I can be able to leave this right now. So these are the levels we'll be focusing on. Hence, the price has managed to come to the downside. We are starting to get a potential pullback. Let's wait to see. Let's try and incite a few more people to look for buying opportunities before we're able to look for sell. So our first area will be looking for selling opportunities. We will be within this particular support and resistance area, but be aware that the price can still come back all the way till the red SNR. As long as we're still holding below this area, we should still be looking for selling opportunities. So right now, let's wait to see how far the pullback can come in before we're able to continue taking advantage of that US dollar strength to take this price to the downside. So hope the euro against the US dollar is clear as we move on to the next euro pair. Here we have the euro against the Canadian dollar. Now on Friday, you can clearly see the levels that we did have. The market really did not end up taking off to the upside. So you can see on Friday, our bias here was to look for buying opportunities in this support and resistance area. During the Asian session, nothing much happened. The price was just bouncing within these levels. During the London market open, we did look as if the price was coming to the upside, and it did look as if it was holding above. So at that point in time, there could have been a potential buying opportunity within this particular area, because you can see at that time, that was during the New York, the non-farm payroll. But it seems the NFP, rather than taking it to the upside, did bring in that Canadian dollar strength, and you can clearly see the way the price really did come to the downside. So as soon as it did that, it did fall off our watch list. However, today, the bias here is going to be looking for selling opportunities. Both the euro and the Canadian dollar have switched sides on our watch list. So the bias here is going to be looking for sales based on these three areas of interest. So right now, within a very interesting area, you can clearly see the price within a nice location here. Let's wait to see. We could end up getting some potential selling opportunity coming in, especially if we get some sort of small probe. We could end up getting the price coming to the downside. But also one thing to take note of, that this would potentially be a probe right here. As you can see, the way the price came to the upside, look at the way the buyers came up strong, and the sellers reacted quite aggressive. And now look at the way the buyers are approaching that particular area. But most likely, it's not necessarily going to go until a session does end up opening. We need a big boy to actually push the market. And that's the reason why we keep on mentioning the market opening times, because that's when the big boys come into the market. So let's see what ends up happening if you could potentially grab a selling opportunity within this area. If not, and you find the price actually coming to the upside and holding above, then we could end up getting the price still coming all the way to this main support and resistance area before we're able to look for selling opportunities. Especially if you go up to a higher time frame, you can see this is a major SNR area that was breached to the downside. So even though price could react in this location, it could still might need to incite a few more people to look for those buying opportunities before we're able to jump in on the sell. So see what ends up happening on this one, but do take note of this one. This one does starting to look pretty good on that. Now, moving on to the next and last currency pair we do have here, we have the euro against the British pound. Now, the euro pairs on Friday really did not work out, because remember on Friday we were looking for buying opportunities. Price was first within this buyer's area or close within this buyer's area. You can see the illustration that John had pointed out, wanting for a potential pullback or at least a probe or something of the sort, and the price holding above. But you can see when the price came down, it actually came down and holding before. So at that point in time, no buying opportunity, because remember, we buy with buyers and sell with sellers. So in this situation, we wanted to buy, but we're within an area where there are sellers, so no buying opportunity. During the New York Stock Exchange open, in the non-farm payroll, nothing much happened within that particular time. Before later on, the price didn't manage to continue coming down. So this one did end up fighting quite a bit, but today our biases have switched and we will actually be looking for selling opportunities on this pair. So our levels of interest will be here within these particular locations. We have the aggressive sellers all the way at the top area right there. Right now, we're within an area where they're buyers. So remember, one of two things is going to happen. The fact that within a buyer's area, the buyers could end up either reacting, so you could end up finding the price coming back in, holding above, coming back towards the main seller's area before we're able to look for selling opportunities. Or you could end up finding the buyers not actually being very interested. And if the price is able to come down, and remember, a breach, if the price holds below, then we should be able to continue looking for selling opportunities on the euro against the British pound. But we need confirmation that the price is actually going to hold below. Don't necessarily look at an aggressive or a big red candle and think that just because it's big and red, the price is going to go. You can clearly see even today morning, didn't end up getting a huge red candle, but right after that, a big green candle did come in. So just make sure that we do get the price holding below. That's the only time we'll get confirmation that the level has actually been broken. So hope that is clear on all the currency pairs. As you can see, we'll mix and match all the pairs on the sell side with the pairs on the buy side. So right now we're going to have a look at the indices before we do look at gold and silver. So we'll start off with the NASDAQ. So on the NASDAQ, our bias here was to look on for buying opportunities on Friday. I can see the illustrations that John had pointed out and where the price was on Friday morning when we were discussing this market was above this particular support and resistance, and it did seem to be attempting to fall to the upside. Wanted to see more of a pullback coming in. You can see based on John's illustration, but nothing much happened during the Asian session as well as the London session. Once the US market did end up opening, the New York Stock Exchange came in at 5:30. You can see the way the price really did come down quite aggressive, showing us evidence that the price is actually holding below this area. Because you can see we came to the downside, we came back in and we were holding below. But the price managed to come all the way to the extreme buyers area. And remember, with these indices as well as gold and silver, we're purely technical, meaning if the price is holding above this red SNR, our bias is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. And you can see it doesn't matter how aggressive the sellers came in, the price just touched that area. The fact that the buyers are there, you can see that reaction that did end up coming in. So overall, we'll still be looking for buying opportunities here. We'll wait to see what ends up happening. If the price is able to actually hold above this particular area, we could potentially find a nice buying opportunity there. If the price ends up coming down below and hold below, then chances are we'll be looking for a buying opportunity within the main buyer's area to take it to the upside. But also I've noticed that there is some sort of support and resistance area. Could maybe find that there's some huge probe. The fact that the price spiked to the upside, just take note of this blue SNR because there definitely could be some buying opportunities there as well. But remember, with these ones, since we're purely technical, if the price comes down and breaches and falls below the red SNR, then at that point in time, our bias will switch and we will start looking for selling opportunities. But as long as we're holding above that area, the buys are definitely still there. So hope that's clear on all this. And remember, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask on the chat box. I will try and address those at the end of this session. So the Dow Jones is something we held to hard on Friday, looking for buying opportunities, and we can see the 3 areas. Now, initially on Friday, we did have our red support and resistance area within this area right here. But you can clearly see during the London market open, or at least during the London session, we did get a small push to the upside. Nothing really much happened. Similar situation with the NASDAQ. But during the New York Stock Exchange open after the non-farm payroll, you can see the price came to the downside and managed to actually breach this area. Remember, a breach only happens when the price comes lower and actually holds. And you can see when the price came below and was holding below that area, then at that point in time, you could have actually started looking for selling opportunities. That's officially when the bias did end up switching. So overall, since we have switched and we're broken that area to the downside, our bias is going to be looking for selling opportunities. Now, areas of interest are going to be these 3 areas. So right now, you get the price coming down. Main thing, remember, what we always want to see is a pullback. So let's wait to see if we can end up getting this pullback coming back within this support and resistance area for us to look for selling opportunities, or we could easily end up getting the price coming down lower. So remember the fact that these sellers might still just decide to push to the downside. Remember, if we could get the price holding below, then we should be able to continue looking for selling opportunities. Remember, as I mentioned, purely technical, meaning as long as we're holding below the red SNR, we will be looking for selling opportunities. If the price manages to go above, breaches and holds above this red support and resistance area, then at that point in time, we will actually start looking for buying opportunities. So hope that is clear on our bias and again plan there as we move on to the next pair we do have, which is silver. Now on silver, our bias on Friday was to look for buying opportunities. You can see the 3 areas that John had pointed out. Seems that the market was bouncing between some sort of range between these 2 levels. So overall, you can clearly see the game plan that John did want, at least waiting for either the price to breach and hold above, or we ended up getting a pullback to the bias area. Now, we did something similar, but you can clearly see it was quite choppy, where the price at 4:30 did manage to spike all the way back down towards this area. So if you did have a pending buy right there, you can say it would have definitely been triggered coming to the upside. So the market did manage to go up quite aggressive. It did look as if it was attempting to hold above, but you can see the price really did come down quite aggressive. Similar situation with gold. Now, it did not necessarily hold within this SNR. It seems like it came back to another level. You can see this level right here. Price seems to have bounced off here. Still seems to be holding, or at least the true support resistance area is there. But there does seem to be a level here, due to the fact that the price bounced off that area today during the Asian session, and we are still holding to the upside. So we pretty much have the same areas that we did have on Friday, looking for buying opportunities. So overall, these will be the levels that we'll be focusing on. Aggressive buys are right here at the bottom. So remember, as long as we're holding above the red SNR, our bias here is going to be looking for buying opportunities. So be aware that we could potentially be in some sort of range, bouncing between these 2 levels. And the fact that we're potentially getting some sort of probe, can clearly see what happened the last time when the price came up, we're holding above. We did end up getting the price coming back all the way to the top. So let's wait to see what ends up happening here. Could potentially end up getting some sort of probe or price action signal showing us evidence that price is holding above this area, or at least is supporting resistance area is still holding. Then we should be able to look for buying opportunities to make sure you manage your trade within the seller's area at the top. So hope the game plan is clear on silver as we move on to the last pair that we do have, fan favorite, which is gold. So on gold, on Friday, our bias here was to look for buying opportunities. It still seems to be the case today. You can see the 3 areas that John had pointed out. So initially, the price was in the middle of these 2 areas. So we needed either the price to give us a pullback back to the bias or a breach to the upside. Now you can see in this situation, the price did manage to do nothing much during the London session. But 4 o'clock came in, we did get the price coming down. 4:30, the price came, spiked down, came back to where the bias area. You can clearly see the price did manage to go to the upside, but it was just a probe, because you can see, especially when you go up to a higher time frame, that will confirm to you. You can see how many times this level has actually been probed. But you can see there was a level right here where the market attempted, and once it probed, you can see the price still came back towards that area before attempting to come down. Similar situation, we got a probe here, but right now the price is looking as if it's attempting to break this area to the upside. But remember, just because the price is all the way at the top That doesn't mean that this level has actually been broken. That doesn't mean you start jumping in on buying opportunities. Remember, we need that pullback to come in order to confirm that that level has been broken. So the fact that they're going up aggressive is very good. It is a good sign, but you can clearly see there are times that the price has gone up aggressive and it has still come down. So that's one thing to be careful about gold. You can be able to double or even triple your account, but at the same time, it's very easy to also blow your account on this pair. So just take note of that. Do trade it with caution and at least treat it with respect. So in this situation, let's wait to see. The fact that the price is so high up, let's wait if we can get the price coming back in. If we see it holding above, we should be able to find a very nice buying opportunity for us on gold. Gold seems to be making new highs and highs, like it keeps on going higher and higher. I think these records are going to constantly be broken, but I think that's the whole point of records, to be broken. So let's wait to see the confirmation on this, if it is actually a proper breach, get the price holding above, and especially if it lines up within the market opening time, especially due to the fact that we're dealing with gold. A lot of the times it's mainly active during the US session. So remember, 4:30 and 5:30. So 4:30, the reason why I'm mentioning 4:30 is you'll find that a lot of times there are news events at that particular time. So wait to see what ends up happening, but overall, definitely we will be looking for buying opportunities on gold. So that's pretty much it. As you can see, we've mixed and matched all the pairs on the sell side with the pairs on the buy side, including the indices as well. So not seeing any questions or anything on the chat. I hope everything is clear. We do have a couple of minutes before we do end up finding the Frankfurt market open. So do take note of that. Remember, today, in terms of fundamentals, it's not necessarily that much. We do have a few speeches for the euro, but that's later on. You can see at 5 o'clock and at 7 o'clock. So that's much, much later. I don't necessarily think it will have much of an effect. But let's wait to see. Since you can see the markets did end up moving during the non-farm payroll, probably this is the first session, or at least the first session that the London big boys will actually be able to take advantage of the non-farm payroll. Remember, that happened on Friday in the evening. That was definitely towards the night during the UK. So meaning right now is the first time that they've taken that information and they could probably use it. So just because there's no fundamentals, that doesn't mean that they might not necessarily be moving. So hope that is clear. Hope you guys have found value in this session. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. Really do appreciate it. Hope you guys have an amazing trading day. Remember, if you do want more education, feel free to reach out to us. Our contact details are there. Can you go to Afriforex.com and we do end up offering education and as well as advice. So if you need any advice or anything, do reach out. Remember, if you do manage to take any setups and screenshots, feel free to send them in to us via WhatsApp. Our contact details are in the video description. And remember to drop a like and a subscribe. It does really end up helping us out. That's the only thing that we're asking for as we do this for you. So once again, thank you so much. Hope you have an amazing trading day. God bless and bye for now. Cheers, guys.